Asahina jumped over and wrapped herself around my left arm, but I had no time to enjoy the sensation around my arm. I was too busy trying to verify my current location. I was in the president's current studio apartment. Not an eerie place like this. Not a place so wide and flat you couldn't even see the horizon with an ochre-brown mist hovering in the air. Who brought me to this place? Entry code analyzed. This place overlaps in normal space. A phase has merely slipped off, Nagato explained. Well, she's the only one capable of this stuff, and Koizumi's the only one who can hold any semblance of a conversation with Nagato. It doesn't appear to be Suzumiya's close space. It is deceptively similar, however a sector of data in this space contains traces of junk data originating from Haruhi Suzumiya. How significant are these traces? Of an inconsequent level, she was merely the trigger. I see, so that's how it is. Asahina and I aren't part of this conversation. Not that it bothers me. In fact, I'm pretty grateful, though I'd be more grateful if they could take us back to our world. Asahina clung to me as she fearfully looked around at our surroundings. It appeared she hadn't anticipated this space. I hadn't either, as I was also glancing in every direction. I could breathe fine, though I had to wonder if it was okay to breathe in this ochre mist-like stuff. I could feel the warmth of the floor through my socks. Didn't expect this. Not sure if this would be considered floor or ground, but the ochre surface continued infinitely. Didn't expect the standard-sized room to have this much storage space. An alternate dimension, huh? Well, I was expecting something like that to show up soon. I'm awfully composed to say myself. It would seem so. I would presume this alternate space appeared in this room and trapped him within. Where is he? I don't see any sign of him. Koizumi merely smiled as he turned to Nagato. I guess that was some kind of sign as Nagato raised her arm again. Wait! I wasn't too late this time. I directed my attention to Nagato, who had obediently frozen in space. Could you tell me what you're going to do first? I'd like a moment to prepare myself. Nothing. Nagato responded as if she were a talking piece of glasswork, but she tilted her hand up around 75 degrees and extended her index finger. And then she opened her mouth again. It has come. I looked in the direction Nagato was pointing. I had to groan in spite of myself. The ochre mist was slowly swirling into what looked like a whirlpool, gathering each and every particle, composing the mist into one spot. I was starting to feel like a pathogen had invaded someone's body, and since I was getting the image of this ochre whirlpool carrying out its duty like a white blood cell, my only comfort was the warmth of Asahina's hands. I can sense a clear intent of animosity, Koizumi says calmly without any hint of urgency. Nagato was standing still with her arm extended like a broken-down android. That didn't mean it was okay for me to relax. They might have the means to defend themselves, but I don't. Asahina doesn't either, which is why she's hiding behind me. This is why you're supposed to bring out some futuristic gadget. Don't you have like a ray gun or something? Carrying weapons is prohibited. It's dangerous, Asahina answered in a trembling voice. I can understand that. Even if you put a weapon into the hands of this Asahina, she would still be useless and prone to accidentally leaving it on the train. I began wondering if she might improve as she got older, but on second thought, that Asahina was also fairly careless. Maybe she's just a scatterbrain by nature. While I was thinking, the mist was gradually taking form of a solid object. There must have been some sort of reason for this. Not that I was particularly interested in knowing it, but for some reason I could recognize the shape of the mass the ochre was forming. Eek! Asahina was the only one scared. I'll admit that it had a creepy appearance, and you normally wouldn't come across one in town. The last time I had seen one was many years ago under the floor in my grandma's house in the country. Are you aware of the insect known as a cave cricket? If you aren't, I'd like to show you what I'm seeing right now. You'll learn every small detail about it. After all, this cave cricket looks like it's 3 meters long. What is it? I asked. A cave cricket, I presume, replied Koizumi. That much I know. I used to be known as a bug expert when I was in preschool. I've never seen a real one before, but I know now how to differentiate between a Hexacentrus strepiconius and a Mecopoda nipponensis. But forget that. What is this? Nagato spoke softly. The creator of this place. This thing? Yes. Don't tell me this is Haruhi's doing again. The cause lies elsewhere, but it began with her. I was about to ask her what she meant, when I noticed that she was still obediently frozen in the same position. You can move now. Yes. Nagato then lowered her arm and stared at the giant cave cricket that had materialized. The burnt brown sand shredder was standing in a spot a few meters away from us. Oh? While imperfect, my power appears to be effective here. Koizumi held a ball of red light the size of a handball in one hand. That red ball I'd never wanted to see again after the first time. It appeared to have come from his palm. My strength is 1/10 of what it is in close space, and I am unable to transform myself. For some unknown reason, Koizumi turned to Nagato with that cheerful smile I was sick of seeing. Perhaps it was judged that this would be sufficient? Nagato didn't react. I repeated my question. Anyways, Nagato, what's the true identity of that bug? Where's the president? It is a subspecies of data life forms. It is using the brain tissue of a male student to heighten the probability of its existence. Koizumi tapped his finger against his brow. It looked like he was thinking, but it also seemed like he was focusing his thoughts. Koizumi eventually looked up. Perhaps the president is inside that giant cave cricket? Precisely. The cave cricket is... I see. The president's visualization of a source of fear, correct? Defeating it should cause this alternate space to collapse. Am I wrong? You are not. I appreciate the metaphor that's easily understood. That should make this quite simple. No, it's not easily understood. No, this isn't simple. Explain everything so that Asahina and I know what's going on. We don't have time for that right now, though. Don't emphasize the last syllable like that. Stop smiling all gentlemanlike. Throw that red ball somewhere else, and do something about Asahina wrapping herself around my waist. I'm about to lose it. Eek. The trembling Asahina has taken away my ability to move. At this rate, I won't be able to escape. That won't be necessary. It won't take long. I just know it somehow. This appears to be much easier than hunting celestials. This cave cricket had just finished materializing, and I was worrying about whether it would suddenly jump towards us. I wonder how many meters it can jump. I kind of want to measure... No, not really. I was blunt. Get it over with. Roger that. Koizumi launched the red ball and whacked it like he was serving a volleyball. The red handball flew off with impeccable accuracy as it crashed to the front of the cave cricket and made a sound like a red paper balloon popping. A pretty stupid method of attacking, but our opponent seemed to be pretty stupid too. I was expecting some form of counterattack, but the cave cricket didn't run, jump, or make any weird whirring sounds. It just sat there in silence. Is it over? Nagato nodded in response to Koizumi's question. Well, that didn't take long. The giant cave cricket began diffusing into its original state of mist and started to fade. The ochre mist was trembling around us also began to disappear, along with a chilling sensation under my feet. A male in a familiar uniform appeared as a sort of compensation, I suppose. The president of the Computer Society collapsed, face up. He looked like he had fallen out of a chair in front of his computer rack as he lay there with his eyes closed. It appeared that he was alive. Koizumi leaned down next to him and placed one hand on the president's neck before nodding to me. We were back in the room in the studio apartment. It makes me wonder where that huge space came from. In any case, I'm feeling quite relieved. I've had enough of being trapped in wide open spaces, whether they're gray or ochre. Approximately 280 million years ago. Nagato began her explanation of random cosmic nonsense, which, if I were to break it down and condense it, would turn into something like the following. It was either during the Permian or Triassic period when it landed on Earth, and at the time there was nothing on Earth capable of housing it. Lacking the means to exist on Earth, it went into hibernation to allow for self-preservation, until the appropriate data network had been born on the planet for it to use. It lacked the means to exist on Earth, thus it froze all activities and settled into a state of sleep. Eventually, humans were born on Earth, and those humans created computer networks. Such immature, according to Nagato, digital information networks, though imperfect, could be utilized as nurseries. However, those were insufficient, so that thing remained in a half-awakened state. But there was an incident which incited its awakening. Which served as an alarm clock for that thing was a detonator floating across the internet. It held more data than could be measured by ordinary numbers. Data that does not exist in this world. Data from another world. This was the shelter that this thing had been waiting for. Nagato abruptly stopped talking. Nagato had been using the president's computer as she talked and brought up the SOS Brigade's website and displayed the corrupted SOS Brigade emblem. The trigger was the invocation sign drawn by Suzumiya. It became a gate. So this SOS Brigade emblem turned into a summoning circle or whatever just now. Yes, Nagato nodded. By terrestrial standards, this SOS Brigade emblem holds the equivalent of approximately 436 terabytes of data. That's impossible. The image isn't even 10 kilobytes big. But Nagato continued. It does not correspond to the denominations used on Earth. What are the odds? A symbol she drew by chance happened to correspond perfectly. She truly is Suzumiya. She can even beat astronomical odds. Koizumi was seriously impressed, and I was seriously scared. Scared of what? Haruhi does most things on a whim. That's how the SOS Brigade was formed, and that's how the members were assembled. Asahina was picked up as a mascot carrier. Koizumi was chosen because he was a transfer student. Nagato had been there to begin with. And then, Asahina was a time traveler, Koizumi was an Esper, and Nagato was a pseudo-alien. Too convenient. In fact, Koizumi had said that it wasn't coincidence when he gave me that nonsense about stuff happening because Haruhi so desired. I'd almost started to believe him, but I couldn't let that happen. After all, I'm an utterly ordinary person. That should be enough to prove otherwise. Koizumi's theory would require me to have some kind of secret identity that involved hocus pocus. So it would seem. What if there had actually been a purpose behind Haruhi's pointless actions? A purpose she was unaware of. Like how she could randomly write down characters and create a message to some aliens out there. Like a cat tapping away at a keyboard and producing some legible sentence. What are the chances of that happening? A girl who can easily break through the barrier called probability and unconsciously reach the correct answer. That would be the troublemaker known as Haruhi Suzumiya. I could accept her making me join the SOS Brigade to run errands for her. Yeah, that's right. It beats the hell out of me to have some mysterious background. So do I have any kind of crazy unknown power or origin? Is that why she chose me? Don't tell me that I actually have a secret I don't know about. The next issue is what I'm truly frightened about. Who am I? I shrugged in an imitation of Koizumi. He's the one who says good grief. I'm the one who's most aware of what my own role is. In short, I serve as the SOS Brigade's conscience. That has to be it. Deep down, I'm different from the other 3 brigade members. I'm in the SOS Brigade to persuade Haruhi to spend her time in high school in a normal fashion. It's my duty to make her give up and disband this illegal club. Now that I think about it, this world is the fastest path to a peaceful world. No, it's the only path. It's a lot easier to change Haruhi's concept of the world than to turn the world into the kind of place Haruhi wants. Plus, it doesn't impose on anybody else. Of course, the SOS Brigade would never have existed if I hadn't given Haruhi some bizarre inspiration. Well, you know, we should judge these things on a case-by-case basis. I'll work this out somehow, though I don't know how long it'll take or why I'm the one that has to do this. Let's just move on. So what was that cave cricket anyway? I figured I needed to get that question answered before this ordeal would end. Nagato answered in a tone that was like exhaling carbon dioxide. A data life form. A relative of your patron? The origin was similar, however they branched down a different evolutionary path and became extinct. Except there ended up being a survivor. It didn't have to hibernate on Earth of all places. It could have gone to sleep somewhere around Neptune. To think that the development of the internet would become a breeding ground for all pseudo-evil gods. That's when I thought of something. I turned to the petite upperclassman who was collapsed on the floor. Asahina, how advanced are computers from the future? Huh? Asahina opened her mouth before shutting it again. I hadn't really expected an answer since it was probably classified, but somebody else responded. Such a primitive form of data network should no longer be in use. Nagato said as she ruined the mood and pointed to the computer. It is simple to create a system that does not rely on storage media, even for organisms such as terrestrial humans. Nagato turned to the side to look at Asahina, who visibly paled. Really? That's, Asahina mumbled as she hung her head. I can't say, she said in a quivering voice. I don't have the authority to confirm or deny that. I'm sorry. It's totally fine. There's no need to apologize, seriously. I wasn't that interested in finding out. Hey, Koizumi, how dare you have such a disappointed look on your face? I attempted to change the subject to save Asahina. What was there to talk about? That's right. There's still something odd. I waited for everybody to turn their attention to me. I was with Haruhi when she was viewing the stupid picture. Nothing happened. Besides, that thing should have shown up the second Haruhi finished her drawing. Koizumi gave the response. The club room had been transformed into an alternate space long ago. A variety of elements and force fields battled and negated one another, leaving the room relatively normal. You could say that it's in a saturated state. This room is already filled to capacity with various things, so there's no need for further assimilation. What kind of logic is that? And when had the club room been turned into a den of evil? I never noticed. Ordinary people aren't equipped with unnecessary sensory capabilities, yet it's safe to assume it to be harmless, most likely. Good grief, I wouldn't mind the temperature of the room being lowered a bit during summer, but if it gets to a point where I start searching for a hanging rope, I'm out. You shouldn't have to worry about that. Nagato, Asahina, and I are working hard to prevent that. Are you sure this isn't the result of your hard work? Koizumi smiled and said, Who knows, as he tilted his head and spread his arms with his palms facing upward. I turned back to the computer screen. As I stared at the corrupted SOS Brigade symbol, I noticed something. I scrolled down to the bottom of the page. The access counter was showing. For some reason, it was only a normal part of the website as it displayed the number of visitors. The access counter had never been 3 figures the last time I checked. At the moment, the counter for the SOS Brigade website was at 10, 100, 1,000. Whoa, it was almost at 3,000. Who's looking at this thing? Hyperlinks have been placed in various places, Nagato said in a quiet voice. That's how the data life form multiplies, very immature. Its data is copied into the brains of humans who see the signs, leading into the creation of restricted space. A large number of people are required. Which means everybody who saw this, almost 3,000 other people, are in the same predicament as the president was? Not exactly. The data for the summoning emblem was damaged. Only a few people browsed the correct data source. Probably a server error. Either way, that's a big help. So how many idiots out there clicked the suspicious link and saw the real thing? 8. 5 are students at North High. Then those 8 people are also trapped in that ochre space-time. That space controlled by the metaphor that might not necessarily be a cave cricket. We should help. Oh, yeah, we have to go save them. Koizumi was asking Nagato for their addresses. It doesn't surprise me that Nagato knows this information. And Asahina appeared to intend to go along with them. That means I have to go too. Most of the blame goes to Haruhi, but I was the one who put this magic circle thing on the internet, so I should help clean up the mess, so I can sleep soundly at night. The victims at North High wouldn't be a problem, but it appeared we'd have to ride the train to save the 3 other people. Anyway, the post-exam break was over with. All that remained was to sit in the clubroom and wait for summer vacation. I told Haruhi that the president had come back to school. I see. And with that, she zipped out of the classroom. She was probably stuffing herself in the cafeteria right now. Koizumi and Asahina hadn't shown up yet. By the way, Nagato had redone Haruhi's SOS Brigade symbol and I stuck it on the page. I managed to safely upload it this time. I wonder why. I hope that people concentrate when they look at this thing. The difference was ever so slight, but if you paid attention, you'd find that the drawing said ZOZ Brigade now. That tiny change was apparently the difference between weird stuff showing up or not. I'd be inclined to say that the moral of this whole spiel would be, don't click on links you don't recognize. What do you think? As I considered the matter, I looked at Nagato, who was sitting at the end of the table reading a numbered set of technical books. As I watched Nagato's face, I suddenly thought of something. I don't know when she noticed Haruhi's summoning picture, but maybe she had been the one who destroyed the data. And there was the person who brought this matter to our attention, Kimidori. I had just visited the Computer Society clubroom and been told that the president didn't have a girlfriend by the president himself, who appeared perfectly fine, besides the fact that he didn't have any memory of the past few days. It didn't seem like he was lying, as he gave me a clueless look when I mentioned Kimidori's name. The president isn't that good of an actor. I became suspicious. Had Kimidori really come here to request our help? The timing had been too perfect. Haruhi scribbled her drawing and I put it on our website. A number of people saw it and were taken by that data life form to an alternate dimension. That was when Kimidori came to us and told us her story, and we went to the president's home, and then we exterminated it. A perfectly scripted scenario, and Nagato was always at the center of it. I wouldn't be surprised if the omnipotent alien terminal had gone so far as to manipulate Kimidori into bringing us this case. She may have come up with the idea of a fake client to ease away some of Haruhi's boredom. If that were the case, Nagato could have dealt with it by herself without getting us involved. Is that what usually happens? She secretly prevents weird stuff from happening without saying a word in silence from the shadows. A breeze came in through the window and ruffled Nagato's hair and the pages of her book. Her pale fingers gripped the edges of the book, and her pale face was perfectly still as her eyes followed the text. Or perhaps Nagato brought us in because she wanted to. An alien-made organic android living for years in a totally empty room. Though she appeared to feel no emotion on the outside, perhaps she could. Perhaps she still felt lonely when she was all by herself. The end. I love you.